Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Could you please stand and salute the flag with me? Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any changes to the agenda?
We have one change, and we also have a special city council agenda that's going to run concurrent with the regular meeting. It has one consent calendar item, which is listed as 5.1, so that will become 5.16 on the regular agenda. And then the change is just that we're going to table 5.9 on the regular agenda. That was a future agenda item requested by Councilman Ramirez, and he's not physically present tonight.
Okay. Council, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Horn,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Singleton,
Aye.
Councilman Ramirez, Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Mayor Ramsey.
I also vote aye. Okay, we go to awards, presentation, appointments, and proclamations. Presentation on local narcotics investigation. Chief.
Good evening, council, city manager, staff, and community. It's always a good day when you have good news to report to the council and also to the community. This presentation is going to be on Operation Fire and Ice. I do have a few slides that's not on the press release that you received that gives a little more photographs and little details of what occurred during this operation. As you know, Sergeant Alex Rauch was assigned to the DEA, and he initiated the Operation Fire and Ice around January of 2021. I have asked Sergeant Rauch and the DA Assistant Special Agent in charge, Pete Vanasquez, to say a few words after the slide presentation. As you see, this list here are the agencies that are involved this past Tuesday. This past Tuesday, it started out with a buy bus in the area of I-5 and Jane. It led to a pursuit and the arrest of one of the main suspects and the seizure of 2 assault weapons and along with 2 pounds of meth. And then following that, with the assistance of the critical response team, which is made up of our state prisons from Avenel and from here in Coalinga, Pleasant Valley, they have a special team that assists us on serving search warrants. They assisted us in serving 4 search warrants in our community. These 2 main individuals here, Juan Carlos Reese and Angel Sanchez, were the main individuals involved in this Operation Fire and Ice since the beginning, which sold a lot of drugs along with sold weapons to us. These individuals are currently booked at the Fresno County Jail and they face federal charges. These are our local gang members here in our community belonging to the associated with the Bulldog Gang. These 5 individuals will be facing state charges for drugs and other charges. They're also booked at the county jail. But these are non-violent individuals, so probably most of them, if not all of them, will probably be seen back in our community because that's the system we have. These next 2 slides just kind of gives you a picture of throughout the 2 years of the guns that we purchased, we bought from these crooks. And here are just a lot of the drugs that we bought. The past, about a week ago, there was these 2 labs were taken down in Tulare County. They seized approximately over 100 gallons of liquid meth and approximately 50 pounds of solid meth. Operation Fire and Ice involved over 10,000 hours of investigation, and over $25,000 was used for control buys for narcotics or firearms. With that said, I'd like to have Sergeant Roush come up here and just say a few words. And I want to thank him for the job well done in this investigation.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure how the fire department got their name up on there after 2 years of this investigation, but tip my hat to you there, Chief.
The drones and being there.
Yes,
of ours.
No,
Yeah.
no. They are actually phenomenal with the drones. So yeah, so this investigation started almost 2 years ago, about 18 months ago. The slide of the two people in there that the chief showed, the first one being Juan Carlos Ruiz. I have done probably 7 search warrants on him, state search warrants. We've recovered at least 6 guns. Patrol's taking guns off of him. He got 3 weeks in jail. That's the age we live in. So when I went over to the DEA, I came up with a plan. We need to do something different, a different approach, and that's when Fire and Ice was launched. We went through everything. We had the backing of ATF, who helped us out quite a bit financially with everything. The big pockets from the federal government to buy mounts that, frankly, we couldn't afford here at our local level. We were buying multiple pounds at a time. That led us to a former Kalinga resident that's living in Alpa. If you don't know where it's at, you haven't missed anything. Don't worry about it. And that connection in Alpa was connected to the Tulare County labs, which was a conversion lab with the liquid methamphetamine. We had 2 different labs, from the first one August 6th, the second one in September 22nd. Over 150 gallons of liquid methamphetamine that was being brought directly from the cartels in Mexico over. It was coming into our community. Number of guns that were seized through both interdiction, stops on these subjects. There's a few people that have been arrested that were already actually convicted statewide on that. Just a tremendous in-depth investigation that, as the chief said, was sort of from everyone. That I can't thank the support enough of the DEA and the feds to help us out, because it was, I had the idea, and it was nice to see it actually come to fruition.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So at this time, I just want to call Pete, and as he's coming over here, Pete, I'm going to have you pronounce correction your last name, but again, I want to thank you on behalf of the city council, our staff, and our community, because your unit, and I know you have such a great responsibility from Kern County to Merced, and you're responsible for all that's happening, but this could not be possible without the DEA.
Thank you,
And
sir.
you definitely made an impact here, and I really appreciate everything you have done. So I just want to thank you, and with that, you can say a few words. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. How are you guys? My name is Pete Fanauskas. I'm an assistant special agent in charge with the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. I oversee DEA activities from Los Angeles to Sacramento and Stockton area. So we have a couple offices in that area. As you know, Coalinga and Chief Garza, the city of Coalinga, has provided a federal task force officer, Sergeant Rouse, with us for about the past 2 years. Me being a former police officer in Texas, I really appreciate, local departments and state departments partnering with us. Those partnerships are very, very important for us to do our job. When we get a local task force officer on our team, obviously they know what the priorities are, what's important to the local community, and they know the community better than we do. So with that partnership, they'll bring their priorities to us, and we'll work it, bring the resources of the DEA and the federal government in. And as you heard, we have a pretty significant, buy-in to these cases that a lot of times smaller departments or cities can't afford. But it's our job to do that and help keep the community safe and protect the community with the local departments. So I want to thank you all for the partnership, and we hope to keep working together.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good. Council, just in closing, there was a lot of legwork and coordination to be done just on this operation, Alex and all the paperwork he's doing. But I want to thank personally my commander, Sean Young, for the work and the hours he put in to make this happen on that Tuesday. So I want to thank him. And also, this operation itself is definitely going to impact the amount of drugs that are being sold in our community. But as you know, as long as we have those who are addicted, and gang members and drug dealers are going to sell to them. But I assure you, as your chief, that the department is going to do everything possible to address this issue. But it's going to take also the support of the community to have a major impact. So with that, I thank you, and if you have any comments.
Thank you. We just appreciate what you do, and you surprised us because you came out with a bang right when you began. So that's great, and we appreciate your work with the DEA and everybody else, and we appreciate our Rush over there. And anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah, I do. Out of the last 2 weeks, I've gone on 4 ride-alongs, and 2 of those ride-alongs were drug busts. That actually got drug busts, and of course, it was meth and 1 handgun that was taken off the street just during the ride-alongs. So they're extremely active. They're pushing really hard right now to get things done.
That's great. And then, if you need anything, you can try to come to us, and we'll see what we can do to help. So,
Thank you, sir.
okay, thank you. Is there any questions maybe from the audience? Anybody have any questions?
I have a million, but I was gonna ask, can I talk to you like tomorrow? I know you don't work tomorrow, but.
Okay, well, thanks, Chief. Thank you, gentlemen from the DEA and Sergeant Rush. Okay, next we'll go to citizens' comments. This agenda allows members of the public, when addressed at the City Council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, and use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the City Council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for a follow-up and report. Citizens' comments submitted in writing to the city clerk by 5 o'clock on the day of the City Council meeting shall be distributed to City Council and included in the record. However, they will not be read. Is there anybody who would like to address the council? Okay. Hello,
Mary
Mary.
Jones.
The door was fixed again.
I noticed that, thank you very much.
We made sure that was fixed.
Sorry you didn't hear me applauding when I came in. I would have,
Thank
my
you.
hands were full.
Okay.
I understand that it's tough times for all of us with no watering and all of that. A house I drive by at least twice a day is a very interesting neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood, very nice neighborhood. I don't live there. But on one side of the street, we have the family that waters their yard in the morning, and all the sprinklers are out, and they're all looking nice. And across the street, there's a house with tumbleweeds, literally tumbleweeds in this very nice neighborhood, up to about 30 inches. And I just wonder, it's like a tale of 2 cities here. They're both on the extremes, but is there a way we could remind people that if not watering doesn't mean that it needs to look like, I was gonna say Nebraska, but that would be not kind, a barren wasteland with tumbleweeds, and at the same time, that they shouldn't be watering? It's right close to Ron's house, but it's not Ron's house.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm talking.
I think I know where you're
Well,
talking about.
Of course you do.
Yes.
Somebody, the person I know that lives around there asked if they thought, if I thought they could just rent a backhoe and do their yard for them. So, anyway, it's problematic. I don't want to get people in trouble, so I'm not going to run around and take pictures and send it to you to give them, for watering and stuff, but it's frustrating. My lawn's totally gone. It's like prehistoric lawn now.
Mine's right along with you. Okay, thank you, Mary.
Council, Scott Netherton, Coalinga Chamber of Commerce. Back on September 27th, we had our candidates night co-hosted by West Hills College. We had almost every candidate that is going to be on the ballot in attendance, either via Zoom or in person. And technology is great when it works. When it doesn't, nothing's really more frustrating than that. But we did do our best, and I want to say thank you to those that made the effort to come out, and then the community members that sent in questions and attended, and it meant a lot, and we appreciate it. Coming up on October 29th, we had to reschedule our Coalinga Fest due to the recent tragedies in the community. So we pushed it back to October 29th. It'll be in the plaza from 12 noon to 9 p.m. We're sitting close to 70 vendors. It's going to be a good size event, so I want to invite all of you out and the entire community, and it should be a good time.
4 bands, correct? They're going to be 4 bands.
Will be present, and live entertainment, a lot of great food, a lot of community vendors this time. Not so much we have some out of town, but a lot of community partnerships this time, which is nice to see. So, all right.
Do you need the stage?
Not for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, we had the stage that the chamber purchased, so we have that for the bands.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't have a parade for this one, so.
Okay.
But thank you. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else? Okay, next we'll go to public hearings. Okay, number 1 is we're going to continue the public hearing for the introduction and waiving of the first reading of ordinance number 853, city-initiated zoning text amendment, number ZTA 2201, amending the planning and zoning code related to accessory dwelling units, ADUs, floodplain and regulations, and density bonus. Sean?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight's just a continuation of the ongoing saga of ADUs in the city of Coalinga. At the last council meeting, the council kind of continued it to make sure that they had everyone here for the discussion. I think there were some folks missing the last meeting related to some of the changes that have been made. So I'm going to go ahead and just open it to the council for discussion on based on some of the changes that have been made to the ordinance, because I know that we've had quite a bit of discussion about the ordinance in itself. And so, and if the council would like to go ahead and move forward with motioning and approving, you can do so.
Can you give us an overview of what we already agreed to? Just basically.
So in July, the council conducted the hearing, and the planning commission conducted the hearing to recommend approval. There were some changes that were made to from the council on August 4th related to garage conversions and the permitted locations for the ADUs. And so with those changes to the garage conversions and ADUs being allowed in any residential district, the council was ready to move forward with approval. And I think just based on some folks not being here at the last meeting, some council members wanted to make sure that all the folks were here to make sure if they can express any final concerns or thoughts before voting on that. But the biggest changes from what was originally written has to do with the permitting of garage conversions, which would be basically on detached garages only, and then ADUs that would be permitted in all residential districts.
Okay, should we open the reopen the public hearing right now, or just have a council
The public hearing is open, so, right?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
still open then?
Yes.
Okay, okay, we don't have to reopen it. Okay, council, are you okay with that? Does everybody understand that now and stuff? Okay. Is there anything from the audience that anybody would like to say about this? Okay, not seeing any, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. And would council like to make a vote on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance number 853 and the ADU changes as read.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, roll call. It's been motioned and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Singleton,
I also vote aye.
Mayor Ramsey.
And I vote aye. Thank you, Sean. I know that it was kind of tough on you for a while, so.
The longest public hearing.
That was a long public hearing. Okay, and thank you. Okay, next we'll go to number 2, proposed adoption of resolution number 4094 of the necessity finding, determining, and declaring that the public interest and the necessary requirements, the acquisition of street lighting facilities by eminent domain. Basically, we're gonna take over all the street lights by eminent domain, right?
This is what the hearing's for. yes.
That's what it's
Yeah.
for.
Yes.
Okay. We'll go ahead and open that public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to say any, well, before we, I'm
I
sorry.
can go ahead and
Okay.
do a staff report real quick,
Okay.
Mayor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and hold on for a second. Okay, Sean, is there a staff report?
Want to go, or me?
Oh,
Yeah,
Marty?
I can
Oh,
summarize
I'm
it for the
sorry.
council. The public and the council may be familiar or have a recollection of this item. This was previously brought to the council, and subsequent to the council approving that, we were notified by PG&E that they had not received the notice. And so the best and the appropriate way to handle that is to make sure they got the notice. We have arranged for that. I think they have some representatives here that are going to talk tonight. But the notice has to be reapproved. I'm sorry, the resolution of necessity has to be reapproved. I'm not going to go through the staff report in a ton of detail, but as the mayor said, yes, the purpose of this item is to use the city's eminent domain powers to acquire the streetlights that we don't currently own. There's a mix in the city of ones that are owned by the city and ones that are owned by PG&E. The staff report indicates some of the issues that we've had in the past regarding the PG&E poles. Council had this item before. We went over some of the issues, and so staff's recommendation is still to acquire these through eminent domain. The staff does still believe that that's the best course of action. There was an appraisal done by an appraisal who assigned a value of $93,850 for the 663 streetlights owned by PG&E. The few things that the council does have to determine tonight is that the public interest and necessity require this project, and the project being the acquisition of the streetlights, that the project is planned or located in the manner that will be most compatible with the greatest public good and the least private injury, and that the property sought to be acquired is necessary for this project. So that is all in the resolution, and so if you can make those findings, then we do recommend that the resolution be approved. The resolution of necessity requires a 2/3 approval of the council, and so since Mr. Ramirez is not here, that means that the motion has to pass unanimously by the 4 that are here. Sean is available to answer any questions, but if you don't have any, you can go ahead and open the public hearing and take public comment.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna open the public hearing on the streetlight acquisition. Anybody?
Mayor, let me add one thing. We did receive correspondence from legal counsel for PG&E that has been distributed. It is on your, it is in front of you, and it will be incorporated into the record.
Oh, this one. Okay.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Council Member, City Manager Trujillo, Erica Cabrera. I'm the Local Government Affairs Representative for PG&E here in Fresno County. And as was mentioned by City Attorney Zamora, PG&E did submit a letter on September 27th objecting to the city adopting the resolution necessary to acquire the streetlight facilities by eminent domain. And so first and foremost, I would like to state that if the city has concerns regarding maintenance issues or other service-related issues, we welcome the opportunity to work with you and address those city's concerns rather than engage in time-consuming, expensive litigation. There have been some consultants in California that have convinced some cities that taking over streetlights are economically attractive and can be done relatively easily and quickly, but that's not the case. Eminent domain cases are expensive and time-consuming. Many drag on for many years. The process involves two separate trials, a bench trial, and to determine if the city has the right to legally take over the streetlights, and a jury trial to set up the amount of compensation that the city would have to pay. Both phases can be very time-consuming. First, we'd like to say that PG&E's streetlights are not for sale. We're not interested in negotiating the sale, nor will we have to, so we will have to go through the lengthy and expensive eminent domain proceedings. We have had a chance to review the valuation that was put together, and there is significantly undervalues PG&E's streetlights. In reading the appraisal, it suggests that the value of each streetlight comes out to approximately $141. But if you read the methodology that was used, it's actually based on an appraisal that relies on a strange method of figuring 17% of the actual based value. The valuation itself says that they relied upon an extraordinary assumption to determine the value of the lights. This method is derived from an article in the Manteca Bulletin about a completely unrelated streetlight issue involving taxation. To say that the valuation method is flawed and substandard is an understatement. But even if you look at this, simply taking 100% of the value, which was included in your packet, that would work out to approximately $550,000, or $832 per streetlight, and we believe the true value is even significantly higher than that. Unfortunately, the city of Santa Cruz recently relied on a similar faulty valuation provided by Cushman & Wakefield for Tanco, and after a year of incurring cost and staff time, they decided to withdraw their eminent domain action last month. So that may also be another resource before proceeding with this. So as I had mentioned, the eminent domain litigation could take a very long time. Just the legal proceedings could take years and cost the city hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Some background, PG&E has been defending against one eminent domain overtake attempt for nearly 20 years in San Joaquin County. And that agency has spent dozens of millions of dollars on the takeover attempt. I would also like to include that if the city does not prevail in this case and decides to abandon the case for any reasons, the city would be required to pay PG&E's attorney fees in addition to its own, adding to the extra cost. So I again ask if there are some maintenance issues that we can discuss, willing to work with staff, and thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you very much.
You say that it's undervalued, but what do you think the proper value is for these lights?
I couldn't comment on that. I'm not in the streetlight division, unfortunately.
And how do you know it's undervalued?
But if you look just at the calculation of the 17% based off of what was included in the staff report, that would at a minimum make it about $832.
Okay, is there anybody else would like to talk? Hi.
Hi, Council. My name's Jim Brager. I'm a 47-year member of the IBW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. I'm here to talk about the qualifications of our troublemen that do this work. Pat O'Brien did it for 30 years. If you guys been around, you know Pat. Daryl Crosway's doing it now. He's been doing it for 10 years. And he told me, I reached out to him, said a few years back, he didn't do any. And all of a sudden, a year later, he got 100 to do. So I believe that he lives in this town. He's been a troubleman for 10 years. And I believe he's the right person to continue doing this type of work. I've been around Kalinga. I spent 10 years at Gate Substation. I maintained the substation around here for 10 years. and I've worked close hand with those guys for my career here. So I just want to let the committee know that you have people right here that's been doing the job, that could do the job, and why change? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And council, we'll go ahead and discuss this. Mario, could you give us your interpretation of this a little bit more?
Well, does the council have any questions?
questions?
Yeah, you have kind of a guesstimate on what it's possibly, how many millions it's gonna cost us if it does get drug on?
Millions, it shouldn't cost you any millions. So the eminent domain proceeding was accurate, as the representative stated. There are two parts, and there's the first part, which is the city's ability to take by eminent domain, and the second part is the valuation of that. We have an evaluation of it. They will present their side, whatever that number is determined to be. And that will be the final number, not their side, but whatever a jury would decide is the proper valuation. That's what the city would be required to pay in order to take it. Now, that doesn't mean that is the only course. I mean, this council's been through litigation in the past, and we've continued to ask for what the evaluation is, so that way we could avoid that process. We've not received one. The letter that we received doesn't have one, and so it's a little hard to negotiate or even discuss what the proper valuation is, because all we have is somebody telling us yours is wrong. We don't really have a basis for what they think it is, and we've asked. So there will be a process. If it's approved, it is a legal proceeding. It could be upwards in the six figures. I mean, that's possible. I don't see it in the seven figures, but litigation is unpredictable, and so that's kind of the total scope of what it could be. But I would say also, if the two parties can come to an agreement, you're looking at significantly less than that. I mean, if we have discussions in a week, or if we go to mediation or something, you'd be probably in the tens of thousands and not the hundreds of thousands.
Okay. Council, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. I've got to go to the back room for a few minutes and by myself, and I'll be right back. And I'm not gonna use my phone or anything. I took some medicine, and it does stuff to you, so I have to go. I'll be right back. Take about a 5-minute session.
Sean, do you know who's on call today from Public Works? Yeah, so Jessica texted me, his Jessica, and she said that they had a plumber out earlier, so Public Works came by and shut off their water, and the plumber did the work, but they never came back out to turn it back on.
I mean,
I don't know,
so who's
but she said that they called the PD, but they're really busy right now, and they don't have time to call the on-call maintenance
So you
worker.
can put his as just a public comment if you I mean, it's not, the public hearing is for the property owner, which is.
Yeah, I'll
PG&E.
text you the address.
So, I mean,
Good, you good?
I'm good.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna plug it in.
It's over there on the wall.
Hanging up?
It's hanging up.
I got you.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Haven't used one yet. All right, let's go get them.
I've had to use them a couple of times. Yeah. Not for me.
No, no, you can't use it on yourself.
No, I told her, I go, if I'm ever having a chest problem, I'm gonna tell you guys. I'm not gonna just get out of here.
Walk away, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll go ahead and open this meeting up again. Thank you for the recess. Okay, council, do you have any questions?
I don't really have any questions. I'm just disappointed that they can write us a letter telling us why the value is wrong, but then can't explain to us what the actual value is. I think it's more on purpose than anything.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
can we make a motion?
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to make a motion.
Yeah, let's go make a motion. Let's go ahead and pass it. Let's move forward.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been made, motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Singleton,
Aye.
Councilman Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Mayor Ramsey.
I vote aye. And we'll see where it goes. Okay, next, we have thank you for coming today, too. Next, we'll go to the consent calendar. We have 15, or we actually have 16 items. Number 9 is pulled and number 16 is added. Right? Okay, is there anything anybody would like to pull?
Number 5.
Number 5?
I'd like to pull 6, 7, and 8.
6, 7, and 8. Okay. Anything else? Is there anything from the audience that you'd like to pull? We could discuss? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and go to number 5. This is direct staff to proceed with a final draft of the gray water rebate program. What would you like to know?
Okay, the only situation, we wouldn't call it an issue that I have with it. I mean, it's a great program and it's promising, but I would like to reach out to more individuals, because it says, you know, we can allot 20,000 and everybody gets a share of 1,000. That's only 20 houses. But if you look around, we need to reach out to a little bit more. You know what I mean? So if we can adjust the 1,000 to kind of meet more needs, to see if we can kind of stretch it out a little bit. Because like Ms. Jones was saying, you have already one that's green and one that's desert. So if we can kind of meet more, you know, and just see how the program does and then move from there. But I think 20 customers, that's kind of a small number.
I think by the end of it, it'll likely be probably 25 or so, because not every home will take the full 1,000, I would imagine. I don't know for certain, but so the system price will vary based on how far that you actually want to, you know, how big that you want the system to actually be, right?
Mhm.
So some people may not have a very big need for something large. You know, they may just have like a few things that they want to water. Some people may want to re-implement like new landscape with all this extra water, and that would be, you know, more near the $1,000, if not more, right? So I would imagine it would roughly be about 25 or so. But did you have like a number in mind that you wanted to reach?
Council, you guys got a number? I think 1,000.
If I have a number, I mean, the average cost seems to be around $700, $750.
Sure.
And other cities who have implemented such a thing, what is their rebate for?
The only ones I've seen have been about 250 or 300, where they're basically paying like half. I think here 700 is maybe average, and some of the other cities where they have more access to licensed plumbers, they might be able to get it for 500. But I think 700 might be realistic for Coalinga. So if you wanted to reduce that to maybe pay for half, that would be reasonable. And that way it's like a 50-50 split.
I got a question. Is this just material, or is this material and labor average cost
Material and labor.
for both? So
But
what's
this
the
is
cost
a-
gonna be with just the material and the person does their own?
I think the estimate that I saw, it might have been a bit old, is about 300 or so. Yeah, and this is something that you can do by yourself. The state has a building code for it. You don't need like any special licensing. If you want to do it by yourself, there's nothing stopping you, unless the city council wants to implement, measures to stop people from installing these.
So James, I don't want to put you on the spot, but we do have a licensed handyman in the audience, so he may be able to tell us if he's willing to, a rough idea of how much he thinks it would cost for someone to do it themselves if they were just getting supplies. About 300. Thank you.
Cool, so about 300, then we can go, what, 350? And see how many more we can get involved in the program?
That would stretch it out, at least double it, close to doubling it, possibly tripling it, depending on if they do it their own or not.
And I think we could go ahead and do that, and then that way we are offering it to a lot more people, because the other program we had, we've got a waiting list on it, on our landscaping, so this will be, and we'll probably get a waiting list on this one also, but
And we can always come back to the council
Yeah, we can always
to up the
bring it
budget if
back.
we need to. Sewer has a little bit more flexibility with cash. The reason why we haven't really come back with the turf replacement program to include it, because the water fund is struggling because of the drought. And so we only are looking at necessary costs moving forward beyond what our current expenses are for the water fund, to really we're watching that carefully. But the sewer fund has some flexibility, so if we needed to up that budget, we probably could up that budget if we needed to. So I want to make sure the council lands on something you're comfortable with in terms of a rebate amount, and then we can always come back if we get 40 people interested. We'll come back and say, hey, we got 20 people on the waiting list, and we're averaging, these requests are averaging 700, we need another X amount of money, so we
Just to
can do that.
confirm, this isn't coming out of the general fund, this is all wastewater enterprise fund.
This comes out of the sewer fund, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could also do something like, start soliciting now to see how many people that are actually interested, and then, base, the amount on something like that. That might be useful.
Yeah, I mean, you can base it off who's interested, yeah. I just wanted to be able to reach out to more, as opposed to boxing them in at 20. Because like with the other program, people still wanted it, but you got to get on that waiting list.
now, do you actually connect this to a drip line for plants, or do you have to put it just goes into a deal and then you have to take the water out? Or?
No, it'll actually flow out to like certain places. It can't be pressurized per se. So like it all has to flow downhill, right? And it must all be subsurface, right? Like you can't have it spraying out because it's not going to be very, pleasant, right? So you have to have, essentially, the pipe is going to lead out to little basins, right? And then it's going to be covered with like some kind of a box with a lid, or I think it was 3 or 4 inches of rock, that kind of thing. So it's all subsurface.
Is it able to be set up like a leach line as well?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's just a gravity-fed leach line, just like you would find in someone's house, like up the canyon or on a ranch, where all the sewage goes down and it dissipates out into a long line.
It's just a bunch of small ones. That's all. Yeah, and it's just from a washing machine.
And could they put this in their front lawn too?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you can figure it, you just can't spray it.
If you have a small lawn, huh?
You just can't spray it.
Right, I mean, if it's a leach line that way,
Yeah.
at least you get some green. Okay. Sounds good, maybe. $350 is what you guys are looking at? And then we can always bring it back if we need to? Do we have a motion?
Should we ask, get a number of roughly who would be interested in it first before we push it through, or just approve it and then get our numbers, and then if we have to add more, we can add more?
You can approve it with the 20 if you would like, and then if there's more interest, we'll just put it back on the agenda to ask for additional. That way it's not delaying it.
And are we gonna go with the 350, so we could get more than 20 if we needed it?
Yes.
Okay. Is this a vote, we need a vote on this?
You can vote on it with the entire consent.
Oh,
if
yeah,
you'd like,
okay.
just with that change.
Yeah, okay. Okay, number 6, direct staff to obtain a cost estimate for a 5 to 10 mile range drone for the police department.
This one's actually for 5 and 7. We had an accident out in the creek a couple weeks ago, and there's been some more incidences with the UTVs that are out there. The officers haven't been able to chase after them. I know some of it has to do with the county issue. The drone, they would actually be able to put up from the police department themselves to have someone operate it and be able to guide the officers where to go in town and the residential areas that are just outside of town as well. It would be something they could utilize, or at least chase them as far as they can and follow them home. The Razor, I believe they just took it in. They're getting it repaired right now. But,
Oh, that's number 8 instead of number 7.
oh, 8. Okay, 8. 8 is for the Razor, possibly looking into getting them one that's more useful for them, a little bit wider, so that they don't have to worry about rolling over, and they can still kind of get to where they need to, that the police cars and the fire department are unable to get to.
Okay. Now, this is just directing them to get cost
Just-
estimates
just-
for both of them.
It's just for cost estimates and to see where we can go from there.
Okay. Anybody else have anything on these? Okay. Number 7, the fire extinguishers?
I know we have a local person here for the fire extinguisher, keeping up with them every year. I was just curious to see what the cost difference is and possibly see if it's feasible to keep it local.
That's what it says, direct staff to obtain a local
Yeah,
quotes
just the cost,
for
yes.
fire extinguisher service. Okay. Is there
Just
anything
real
else?
quick, number 6.
Oh, number 6, okay, I'm
Don't
sorry.
we have a drone? Don't we have a drone already?
We have a drone with the fire department.
It's a public safety drone, so it's shared between police
Yeah.
and fire.
Yeah.
It's housed at the fire department, but it is a shared drone.
What's the mileage range on that? Do you know?
It's 10 kilometers, so what's that, 6 miles? Yeah.
Do you know?
But it's also line of sight. I have 3 pilots in the department, and they all went to the FFA training, and the recommendation was no more than you can see your drone.
Mhm.
So you're looking at a mile, maybe. We used it twice so far, and we searched the entire creek bed, and we were able to keep contact and able to use it, because we have a pretty substantially large control pad with a video camera on it, and so when he lost sight of it, he just used the control pad to maneuver around. So we do have one. It's a pretty robust pro version of a drone that's used for public safety specifically.
Can you remember roughly what the cost was offhand, or? Is that including the tablet to run it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Okay, do we have a motion for the consent calendar?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a motion with the changes on number 5.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. With the changes for number 5, everything else is the same. And that's including number 16. That was on the special one. That was declared miscellaneous furniture and equipment. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Singleton,
Aye.
Councilman Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Mayor Ramsey.
I vote aye. Okay, we'll go to number 6, ordinance presentation, discussion, and potential action items. We have none. We have announcements. City manager announcements?
Thank you. I do have a few. I just want to remind everyone that we do have a monthly Chiefs Breakfast at Cafe 101 at 9 a.m. the first Tuesday of every month. Mary Jones is our only regular in attendance, and as much as we like having breakfast with her, it would be nice to see some more people there sometimes. We, on Monday, October 13th, we open registration for the city's Christmas gift program, and that will be available on the city's website as well as on the city's Facebook page. We'll have registration links in both English and Spanish. On October 15th, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. is our fire department open house, so the public is invited to attend. And on October 21st at 3:21 p.m. at Keck Park, CHRPD is doing a Down syndrome awareness walk. And then I have one item that Sean was going to brief you on.
Oh, thank you. Just wanted to update the council. The staff has been in contact with Westlands Water District, and the staff's going to be submitting a letter of support for a grant application to Department of Water Resources for a desalination grant. They're looking at a pilot program in the valley for desalination of kind of the west side water supply, groundwater supply, to help cities like Kalinga, Avenal, and Huron, as well as some of the farming community during these drought years, and allowing us to hopefully draw on that water and augment some of that allocation when we see limited water supply during the drought. So definitely an innovative approach, and so they'll be submitting a grant, or they actually just have submitted the grant application for the pilot program. So we'll just continue to update the council, but we just want to let you know we are going to be submitting a letter of support for that to help that efforts.
That's great. Sounds really good. Thank you. Any council members' reports? Okay, as mayor, I have none as of right now. Any future agenda items?
I have one. I would just like to revisit the watering for businesses.
Okay. In what capacity? Basically, the whole thing, or?
Well, we have two options. They can water, if we agree, once or none.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we have one closed session. It's property water rights. Are we going to have any information at the end?
Not likely.
Okay. Okay. Thank you guys for coming, and this meeting is adjourned.